Gay's gonna try it from 60. It's blocked!
That was Myles Garrett that blocked that field goal.
Walker gives to Kareem Hunt. Pushing. Touchdown! Kareem Hunt got it across the goal line!
No chasing history. We making history. Let's keep doing what we doing. Browns on 3. 1, 2, 3. Browns!
Cleveland Browns have now stolen 2 tight games in back-to-back weeks. Indianapolis is a good team. Even though they don't have Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen is a really great young offensive mind. They have 2 great running backs, a solid offensive line. Gardner Minshew is always down for a battle, so there was no doubt that it was going to be a slugfest, especially considering the uncertainty surrounding the quarterback position. So today we're going to jump into all of that. We're going to discuss the future of the quarterback now that Deshaun Watson seems to be entering another period of ambiguity in terms of what he's going to be able to produce or how much he's going to be able to play. But before we get into that, let's talk about some general takeaways from this game. I felt that this was a serious character tester. The Stefanski naysayers, the Stefanski apologists, the Deshaun Watson haters, the Jim Schwartz praisers, everyone kind of had their defined reason for success so far this season become tested. The defense gave up a lot of easy plays, there were some missed tackles, the offense struggled at some points, and there were a lot of times that this game felt like it could be slipping out of reach. But the fact of the matter is that the team showed up as a whole. They played complementary football and picked each other up even when there was a big mistake, even when there was a big missed tackle or a long run from Indianapolis. The offense was there to answer, to do just enough to get the team just within field goal range. No one today was perfect, and even Myles Garrett jumped offside twice, stopped rushing the passer, and wound up letting huge plays happen. But they kept clawing and kept fighting. And to me, that is the statement that this team is closer than ever. They care about each other. They keep fighting. They don't give up when things get bad. And I think that that will only make you stronger as the season goes longer. And it further solidifies my point of view that this team does believe in Stefanski. He made great calls when it mattered. Some of them didn't get executed on, particularly that 4th and 1, that little fake dive toss to Jerome Ford that was either too hot to handle or just a clear drop. Either way, the play needs to be made because it was a great play. And I just think Stefanski is doing so much with so much uncertainty. He's on his 3rd quarterback. He doesn't know when his starting franchise guy's back. Nick Chubb's out. If you are under any number of other Browns coaches or any other number of coaches around the league, they're not pulling out that win. And regarding the reffing situation, so many people saying the Browns have been on the wrong side of those calls forever. I just think it comes down to this. Good teams, and when I say teams, I mean teams, win those games. Bad teams lose those games, and they lose them regularly. This team fought back every single possession. They did something to fight back and answer the call. So let's touch on the defense. Gave up, I think, 460 yards, a lot of just really big plays. A touchdown run to Gardner Minshew, that huge play to Josh Downs on the busted coverage from Denzel Ward, then the other missed tackle on that dig route that went for 60 plus yards, whatever it was later in the game. They play so aggressive that when they get counterpunched, sometimes it could lead to a knockout shot, right? And ultimately, like we mentioned, they kept fighting, they produced, they got turnovers and got a key stop in the 4th quarter when it mattered most. But when they're missing tackles or they're busting assignments, it's leading to big plays the same way it did in the Pittsburgh game where they shut Kenny Pickett down in that offense that whole game, but there was that one huge explosive play to George Pickens. As great as this defense is, it's been a bit of an overreaction, like how we've pointed out. Some of the great shutouts and shutdowns of some of the offenses that the Browns have played have been in part because they didn't capitalize on some scenarios. Like again, last week, the deep shot to Christian McCaffrey, that would have been a touchdown, and the one to Brandon Ayuk, that would have been a touchdown. That Denzel Ward got beat on. He wound up catching up, but that would have been a touchdown if the ball was accurate. But a lot of those things are easy fixes. Busted coverage, those are mental errors. Missed tackles, those are fundamentals. So all of those things can be built on, and hopefully Taki can come back healthy, because I think that really affected the run game. I think he's become a better defender than a lot of us give him credit for, but this is also a very good running team. I mean, Quentin Nelson is maybe the best guard in all of football, and Jonathan Taylor is a very good back, and so is Zach Moss. So the fact that they were tested was not surprising to me, but still a lot that can be fixed. So we mentioned him there, but Myles Garrett, just an absolute MVP level game performance. Myles Garrett was shifting the momentum multiple times over. When it looked like things could be getting out of control, he completely quashed all of that. He's been everything and more that we've needed him to be so far, and I just think this is his defensive player of the year. Like, that put him on the map. The fact that the NFL Twitter and Instagram is saying Myles Garrett for defensive player of the year, everyone's saying for all this time, the refs screw us, the NFL hates us, this, that, and the other. You're seeing that change in real time, and I'd like to think that, this whole crew, the Optimistic Browns fan club, has been pretty instrumental behind the scenes in pushing out a good, positive message towards this team. So everyone, give yourself a pat on the back there. But you are seeing the narrative change as the season is going on, and I just think that they'll keep building on that. Myles Garrett's going to keep on building on that, and again, all of these small things like jumping before the ball is snapped, you can fix those things. You can keep giving effort after the play. So Jim Schwartz is going to coach that up. And I think that the greatest thing that the defense and the team in general can strive to achieve is to not make the same mistakes twice in terms of back-to-back games. So look for cleaning up a lot of those miscommunications, missed tackle fundamentals, and carry that forward into Seattle. Okay, so Dustin Hopkins, he might be the best pickup that Andrew Berry has made, maybe the best trade that he's made when it comes down to what he's done for this team going through this season so far. If that's Cade York, we lose the past 2 games. Like that 58-yard field goal, even the kick right before half, whatever that was, 50 yards or 52 yards, whatever it was, those completely change the outcome of the game. Like 100%. So he just feels automatic right now. You feel like he has the strength to make all the kicks, but also the calm nerves to be able to answer when the moment is biggest and brightest, and just everyone is focusing on him. Dustin Hopkins seems like the greatest thing since Phil Dawson. So let's just hope that he can continue that going forward and just stay in this groove and just be ready for the moment whenever it's called, because so far he's just been absolutely automatic and everything you could ask in a kicker and more. So currently, the quarterback situation. Stefanski comes out after the game and he says that Watson's still the starter going in. I just think that from seeing those first 2 series, his shoulder is not healed whatsoever. I think that the injury is more serious than people understood. I think that the pressure from the fans and the media getting at Watson has been really instrumental in making him push to come back from this when he should be shut down on IR. Like, he should have missed the game before the bye week, and then 2 more after that, or 3 more after that at a minimum, to really come back to full strength, because you could see it's limiting him. He's not being fluid in his motion whatsoever. He's short arming the ball. Good job on Kevin Stefanski for pulling him after that hit, because that was a big hit. Like, the concussion is one thing. I think he would have come back regardless, even if he was concussed, because that is the reality of the NFL. People play through concussions all the time. Passing concussion protocols like being medically cleared. If you can get up and walk, you're not getting pulled. I mean, I really don't know what to make of the Watson scenario, because you see him against the Titans, you feel like, okay, the rust is off. He's improving. He's finally getting comfortable. Then he has this big absence, comes back. He's clearly not healthy, but you're stuck with him. You can't move on from Deshaun Watson. So you have to, I think, treat it long term. You have to put him on the bench, put him on IR, let him heal fully so you can make an adequate and accurate assessment of who he is and if he will be able to lead this team over the next 2.5 years. But it just doesn't seem like PJ Walker is going to be able to sustain this much longer. Like, he's coming up with 1 or 2 huge throws in the 2 games that he started that have helped flip the field, convert on a long 3rd down, and keep the chains going to keep the plays alive. I don't know, maybe a full week of starting where he's preparing like a starter would, would make a difference in that, but the consistency in his accuracy isn't quite there. But then again, it's like he's doing just enough to keep things going. But I don't know, there could be a game where Dustin Hopkins doesn't make all of those kicks that he makes in that last game, or the defense doesn't come with all those turnovers, or they allow 40 points instead of 37 and you lose by 2. It's just not sustainable. So there's going to have to be some answer. I don't know, maybe you also give DTR another chance starting, because in that preseason, I understand that it's preseason, he did look like the guy. Like, most people were fooled. Most people weren't saying, keep Josh Dobbs, keep Josh Dobbs. I know I wasn't. I know a lot of people in the media weren't. It was on Pat McAfee, like, oh, he's the future of the Browns with how good he looked. So I think 90% of GMs would have made that trade. That's a hard one to hold against them, but it's clearly a decision that is hurting them. So I don't know. I think I would like to see DTR get one chance to be the true starter, because it looked completely like nerves and mental unpreparedness in that Ravens game. Maybe you could give him an easy game down the line. Maybe he gets to start against Arizona, depending what happens against Seattle, but I don't think PJ Walker is going to give them much of a chance in terms of what he can do with his arm heading into the playoffs if this turns into a long-term thing. But regardless, Deshaun Watson needs to sit for some time and get fully healthy so we can make a real assessment on who he is as a player week in and week out. So in terms of the running game going forward, I think the offensive line has really stepped it up the past couple weeks. I think Jed Wills has put 2 good games together, and this was something that I cut out of my last video because I didn't want to get ahead of myself and say, you know, he's really turned a corner. But in the San Francisco video, I cut out a portion where I said I think that they sat down Jed Wills during that bye week and he had a come to Jesus moment where they said, look, you are not going to get extended. Yes, we signed your 5th-year option, but you're not going to get the money that you would and should be getting with the level of talent that you have if you don't step up your effort. And he's just played lights out. He's playing with more energy. He's playing with more passion. He's just seems like he's taking pride in doing a good job. So that has been huge. And again, he's not perfect, but if the effort is there, you have the size and the athleticism to produce some results. So I think that's been great. DeJuan Jones has been fantastic. Ethan Posich has been one of the best centers in football, and Teller and Bitonio are just, you know, always solid all around. However, Jerome Ford is going to be out 1 to 2 weeks with the high ankle sprain. So that is pretty serious, because the spark that he provides when he does get a crease and he can work to the 2nd and 3rd level, like, that is something that Kareem Hunt doesn't have. I like Kareem Hunt if we're just grinding out yards and what he can do. You know, Kareem Hunt can give you a burst and give you 10, 15, 20 yards. He's not taking off for 60 yards like Jerome Ford is regularly, multiple times throughout this season so far. However, I think that he can carry the load. He can take the bulk of these tough carries. He can grind out the yards, and then they could bring in Pierre Strong, because I think he's really showed some flashes of being able to crease guys and just take off with his long speed. So this running game is going to have to keep carrying them, especially in this game in Seattle. I don't know if it's going to be rainy or not, but if it is, like, it's going to be another gutty, grinding, physical game the same way the San Fran one was, and this run game has to be on. So whoever's back there taking the bulk of the carries, they just got to trust that this offensive line can continue on and produce the results and looks that they've been getting. And they should be staying within games and just winning the time of possession battle, because the home run shots in the pass game just aren't going to be there. And speaking about the pass game, Amari Cooper was relatively quiet. I mean, not relatively. He was very quiet in terms of Amari Cooper being Amari Cooper and what he provides. He had some drops, but those all came later in the game because he wasn't even really targeted at all in the first half. I think maybe he had one target late in the first half. But he's just a guy, like, you have to get him involved earlier in the game plan. And whoever the quarterback is, you have to do something to get the ball in Amari Cooper's hand early so he's ready for those late game must-have catches. And he did have the one on the out when they were driving later in the game, but that could come back to bite them if they aren't making it a priority to get Cooper the touches that he needs to just be locked in for all 4 quarters. When the Browns got down into the red zone and they had whatever it was, 30 seconds left with no timeouts, I thought Stefanski did a great job with the play calling there. Like, the first one, Njoku dropped on that corner route. I'm pretty sure that should have been a touchdown. The defensive back made a great play punching it out, but that's a ball you have to have in that moment. That's a catch that Kelsey makes. That's a catch that a true number one target, a number one tight end has to make. So you'd like to see Njoku make that, but it didn't work out. Then they have that little shovel play where PJ Walker basically whips it off Njoku's head. Yes, the ball could have had more touch on it, but again, you've made tougher catches than a quick shovel pass that comes at you a little hot. So those were great play calls all around, in my opinion. Either of those should have won the game. And then to go on 4th down and be like, okay, look, no more getting cute. Nick Harris, you're the fullback. Everyone just fight for your life, outman the other guy for one play, and let's let Kareem Hunt, our bulldog, go in there and make that happen and win the game. It was just beautiful. We're clever, we're cute, we're tricky. All should have worked. It didn't. Okay, let's just come down to mano-a-mano on the goal line. Who's going to get 1 yard? Who's going to stop 1 yard? And Harrison Bryant as well. He slipped fitting up to make that block and fought on his knees, shuffling along the line, and kept contact with his man to help secure that touchdown. Like, that was a great job. So a lot of these guys that we give flack, that we have a tough time with Stefanski with the play calling, Harrison Bryant in general, because he's had some drops or whatever, everyone showed up and did just enough to win. And that's what you want. That's what you want when you get to the locker room at the end. You want to look at your guys and say, I want to go to war with you because I know you have my back. I know you're going to show up when it matters most. And that's what's been happening the past 2 weeks. So really, really gutty character building wins. You have to win ugly. You have to win the ones and be okay with winning the ones that maybe you feel that the refs gave to you. Because I promise you, Tom Brady's never felt bad about it. Pat Mahomes doesn't feel bad that he got that Super Bowl because of an ambiguous holding call. Teams with high expectations for themselves expect to win those close ones that could go either way. So be happy about it. Celebrate it. 4-2 is huge. Staying alive in this extremely competitive AFC North. Just to say, you got to take the wins any way that they're going to come and just expect nothing is given. This is all got to be earned week in and week out and take them however they will come and just roll with your guys. Whoever's showing up, whoever's that quarterback that week, you just got to expect and have faith that Stefanski is going to put them in the best positions to win. We gotta give the credit where credit's due in terms of this run game staying consistent even after Nick Chubb. That is in large part due to Stefanski, so you gotta put your faith in the guy and just keep on chugging ahead. And Seattle is going to be, again, like I mentioned before, it's going to be a tough game similar to the San Francisco game where run heavy, defense heavy. It's going to come down to field positioning and a few kicks. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Anyone who ordered an Optimistic Cleveland Fan Club sticker, I've reached out to you or you've seen on the website since I updated it. Those are coming in November 1st, so they will be shipped out November 2nd. There are still, I believe, just under 25 left. So if you want to go and grab yours, you can hit the link below. Please buy them. You're supporting the channel and really appreciate everyone who has and who has reached out. Super excited to be able to get those to you guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, share with someone, and let's just keep on building this thing and move on to Seattle. See you in the next one.